You're listening to Bleed TV, the only podcast for today's best shows and movies, and I'm Cash.
And I'm Larissa.
And we're here doing Mr. Robot Kill Process. I think this is episode 3.4 because, as always... No, 3.5 I think, because S-Mail. It is episode 6, but it's 3.5 because he hates labeling things correctly.
I hate that.
The first episode of the season always gets the .0, and I'm like, oh my god. You're killing me.
Killing me, Smalls.
You really are. Yet again, we'll get into the rating very shortly, but shout out to the music department, all 50,000 of you, because, I mean, that's pretty much what IMDb listed you as.
He tried to, he really did try to look you up and, give, a specific person
credit.
Due.
Yeah. But
unfortunately, there are a lot of you that make this magic happen.
And each one of you should be appreciated because fantastic job on this episode. Shout out to Sam S-Mail as well, our Lord and Savior, because I was we rarely text when we're watching the show or anything. And I blew up your phone immediately, even as the episode was starting.
I was driving and while you were watching it, and my car does this thing where it sends this little ping noise over my car speakers whenever I get a text. It's like bing bing bing.
Oh, beautiful.
And it was literally bing 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 bing. I was like, did somebody die?
Yes, the rest of TV died because I forget what you named last week's episode, but oh my amazeballs blow my brain, just give you all the awards. Something along those lines.
Yeah, I think it was oh my god, so amazing, make an award and win it.
Yeah.
.com.
You did, even with the www to start it all off. But as I posted on Facebook and Twitter and everything, I said this show managed to pull off back-to-back episodes. The two best back-to-back episodes I've ever seen in TV.
I'm really, really upset at how much I liked this episode.
Yeah, because I blew it up, I hyped it up, and I even said, I was like, dare I say, it's better than last week's.
And I was like, shut your whore mouth. But
by the end,
it was better.
And it even got you with a twist, and you never get hit by the twist. No, I never
get got, ever. I was like, this is weird. This is kind of happy. I don't understand. And then the minute I started seeing people on their phones, I was like, no.
Something happened.
No. And then when the end happened.
Yes. But before...
I audibly gasped.
We're going to Tarantino it and go all the way back to the beginning.
Yes.
Which everyone knows how I feel about the opening scenes, the opening credit, Mr. Robot and everything.
This was crazy. It was over black screen. I was like,
Yeah, right off the bat. No intros or anything, just Mr. Robot, and then Happy Go Cheery Lucky, Back to the Future music, and I'm like, God damn you, Sam S-Mail. You did it again.
Why do you like this?
Why do I feel like you're doing this just for me, even though you're probably making millions of people smile?
Oh man. And I love that we go right back into that conversation with Angela, though.
But not yet. Because at first it's just Angela with Mr. Robot as a little girl and everything.
Oh, yeah. I completely spaced on that part because I was so excited to get back into the action.
And we will get there, don't worry. But what'd you feel about this scene? Because I have a good bit to say about it.
Well, I mean, it confirmed our interview little girl theory, number one.
They do have the same actress playing young Angela and interview Angela.
So, time travel.
Not necessarily. I'm going to drop something on you a little bit later.
All right. So then, we have that. I definitely like the fact that, we sort of had some extra, because, we've been seeing what she's been doing lately, and yeah, of course she wants revenge for her mom, but it's hard to agree with her motives concerning, how she's been treating Elliot, because you're like, oh, don't you love Elliot? Isn't he your best friend? Whatever. And then you see this scene where she's talking to Elliot's dad, and he's like, well, sometimes Elliot needs a little push.
be there to give him that push.
Yeah, which really kind of helped make this, like, all make a little bit more sense. But I have to say my favorite part of the whole opening was, number one, Angela's mom's eyes are redonkulous. Like, her eyes are the, season 1 Angela hair. Just that. And then also when she's like, is Elliot coming? And he's like, no, Elliot's not feeling well. I was like, because you pushed him out a window, you crazy dick.
I don't know if this was around the same time.
It was. Yeah. It totally was. Okay. I want it to be.
You want it to be? We'll make it that way.
Yeah, like, it is. Shut up.
But, like, to me, like, man, I was just completely in my emotions for this entire time. First off, she just goes, is Elliot here? I'm like, weren't you friends with Darlene as well? Like, why don't you want to see Darlene in this moment?
I don't think that, like, I think that, it's just like her mom is dying and it's one of those weird going away parties for, like, cancer people, which are always weird.
Oh my God, please never let me have this kind of party. Like, if I have cancer, just, I don't know, get everyone drunk or something, because I could not handle this.
I mean, we can all get drunk together and just not expressly talk about it.
Can we just get a happier cake?
Also, knock on wood, like, no cancer.
I see you in the next life. Cake? How about not? Let's not.
I was like, wow, that's grim. And then I understand, like I'm sure some people were frustrated with the fact that little Angela was, like, not wanting to be around her mom and stuff, but, like, that's so overwhelming for a kid. Yeah. And she's probably so frustrated that her mom has given up taking treatment.
Which also, when the lawyer lady who we saw back last season and everything sitting there talking with her mom, she's like, hey, I would be remiss if I didn't bring this back up with you, hidden benefactors willing to pay for all your chemo treatment. And so there's a lot of swirling around that since Angela's dad, I say that in quotations mark, gets up. Everyone's kind of pushing the Price as Angela's biological father theory again.
Huh.
How do you feel about that creeping back into with how this episode plays out and everything, and the last few episodes of Price giving Angela what she wants?
I think it's feasible.
This gives it the most ground that we've seen so far in the series.
Like, I never believed it until now. Like, I never believed in the possibility until I saw the way that the father reacted. Because the thing is that, like, I initially thought, okay, maybe he's upset that she's not taking the money.
Yeah.
Which is still possible, like, it could be something else. Like, it could be that E-Corp is trying to pay for it because
as hush money or something.
Yeah, or, it even could be that, someone we don't understand yet was doing it. But, yeah, I mean, it gives it ground, but it could also very easily be, like, an E-Corp settlement, and then father's just mad that she's not taking the money. But that was the first time I was like, okay.
This has got some legs.
Maybe.
Okay.
I'm not saying I, like, ship it, but I do think it has, like, some water at this point.
I'm going to dig my little pond or lake a little bit deeper and give it a little bit, I'm going to graduate it to the next level. So I feel like at 20%, I'm probably at, like, 40% in believing this. And,
what's the name of your pond?
Pond Mary Go F Yourself. Alright? How about that? That's the name of my pond.
That's aggressive.
And anyway, one last thing I want to say about this scene was just some great parenting by Mr. Robot.
Yeah, like, because you never really think of him as a dad.
No, not in the slightest. But throughout this entire scene, he's giving sound advice. Like, I was like, A+ advice, Mr. Robot.
Like, this is good. You can be a good dad, even though you low-key, pushed your son out a window because you got mad at him.
No low-key, like, literally.
Yeah.
Front yard. But, I mean, his kid did tell his wife that, he had cancer and everything. Didn't want his wife to know at the time.
Are you really, like, no.
I've seen worse.
No.
I've seen...
What? Where? When?
growing up and stuff. Friends.
Okay. Your life is okay. Your life is fine.
I didn't say mine was worse. I said I've seen worse.
Okay. Oh,
But
no.
wooden spoons are very scarring. Let it be known.
Yes.
But hey, shout out to any Mexican kids. Anywho. What?
Nothing. Continue.
I don't know anyone that didn't get beat with wooden spoons. That was our childhood.
Anyway.
The next thing that we roll into is the conversation that you wanted to get into with Elliot and Angela. To where we jump right back into this tense fire. Not literal fire, because, you know, that's bad and later on in the episode.
Metaphorical fire.
Yes.
Well, I mean, like, the craziest part about this is it sort of, like, gave another theory some ground.
It did. One that you're not a very big fan of.
No,
if I
I
recall our
it's
conversation.
true.
What we're talking about is Angela possibly having her own Mr. Robot personality, which would be her mother. And what gave it the most credence to me was when, at the end of the conversation, right after she rips her arms away from Elliot, she turns around and then just away from him is, "What are you even doing here, Mr. Alderson? I remember you being fired today." So she just started talking in third person. She calls him Mr. Alderson, which I was like, wait, I completely forgot your last name was Alderson. And
I think that she did it just to disassociate herself from the situation, because he did say at the beginning of the season, Angela always, like, as soon as she gets close to anything that's going to hurt her,
true.
she runs away.
But still, man, that is weird. Her tone changed, her voice changed, wording changed, everything.
Yeah. I mean, but, you know, even before this, when they were having the conversation, like, I love the look that Rami Malek gives people when he thinks they're crazy.
Knowing that he's full well crazy the entire time.
Like, he's just looking at her, he's like, people are gonna die, and she's like, no one is gonna die, and she is so firm in this belief, because she has to be, and she's so firm in the belief that they're gonna, like, you know, save everyone?
Yes.
Time travel?
Hold on. There's other theories around.
Okay.
And he's already exited time travel.
Well, you know, throwing us off the trail.
Okay. But, you know, as you said, she's adamant that nobody's going to die. She's like, don't worry. You know, they're going to empty it. And
like, it's just so naive. Like, and it's kind of nice to see that, because Angela was so naive in the first season. Like, that was like her whole character.
Yes.
And she's sort of gone to this, like, badass business lady-ness, and then, you know, she sort of returns back to her roots with, like, believing in people that she shouldn't believe in.
Not necessarily believing in, well, I mean, unless you're just saying, like, people as White Rose, then yes. You know,
Well, I mean, she also takes Johnny Mustache at his word.
True. She does take Johnny Mustache at his word. Which doesn't pan out very well for people, as we find out later in the episode.
No, oh my god, I lost my mind.
But the thing about her was just like how she was able to, I guess, compartmentalize, even if people did die. Just like, we will look back on these as the necessary deaths.
I think that, okay, even if time travel is not what's actually happening in the show, which I can get behind that idea. Like, even if time travel doesn't actually happen, she thinks it does.
Or alternate timelines.
I think that she is 100% on board with being able to go back in time and change things.
I think it's
so
more...
to her, she's like, okay, if stuff happens right now, it's fine, we can just fix it.
True. But I'm thinking it's leaning more towards, like, alternate timelines and messing with things like that. Like, you know, like when you reach a fork in the road, one time you go left, one time you go right. Both things happen, but you can go back to it. So it's not necessarily time travel. It's just messing. It's like fourth dimension and alternate timelines. So no one ever really dies. You just kind of go over there.
Okay.
And
Access a different dimension and bring her mom back.
Or he drops her and Elliot off into a timeline that both their parents still lived.
I mean, either way, time manipulation.
Yes. Time manipulation is going to be happening. It has to.
We can agree
on time manipulation.
On time manipulation.
Yes. But yeah, just going back to her having the ability to just be like, if they die, they die. Like, by the end of that conversation, I was like, holy crap, Angela. Like, can you listen to yourself?
Like, I don't buy it. And I don't. I think that she's just saying that to try and, like...
Did you not see the end of the episode? She 100% buys it.
I think she's in deep denial because she had no idea what was going to happen, and we don't know how she's going to react to this. It ended with her reading about the news. I think she's going to have a special breakdown.
She's got
to. The whole time she's like, they're going to evacuate, they're going to evacuate, they're going to evacuate. Like, she doesn't fully comprehend the consequences.
Yeah, I mean, let's just finish Angela off, I think. Because, I mean, we go to this, and then what happens next with her is she gets on the subway. And first off, anytime somebody with some kind of mask, be nervous of them. Like,
shaking his leg, like, I was like, that dude's about to rob you. Like, I was thinking that.
I was like, man, Granny is about to get robbed on the train. And, you know, they're having a conversation, moving back in with their kids, all of that, yada, yada.
Yeah.
Angela, she's just kind of zoning out, doing her own thing. And on the subway, you know, these posters ever changing, always being something different. There's a movie, it was an old movie, I think back in the 50s or 60s, called Repulsion, which has a lot to do with kind of Darlene's storyline plot. But, like, when you typed it into Google and everything, the poster also had Caitlin Doubleday, or Kathleen Doubleday, which is Portia's sister. The amount of detail going into this show is insane.
It's like obscene.
Like, somebody was breaking down the similarities between Repulsion and Darlene's thing, within 4 hours of this thing being posted. From a movie in 1963. Internet, you're a wonderful place.
People are so committed. Like, it's just like, I'm so proud of the people who are fans of this show.
Going the next step. Like, the extra mile, bravo.
Yeah.
Bravo to all of them.
And then we're on the train. This dude starts, robs the old ladies, takes their purses.
Obviously.
And I just, what?
And I was just like, naturally, as, we're going to be suspecting, these people are getting robbed.
Yeah. So then he, points his gun at Angela, and I love that she's not doing anything. And honestly, the whole time, she wasn't giving him her purse. I was like, you don't have to give that guy your purse. He's not going to shoot you.
Those were my exact thoughts, too. I was like, go, Angela. You've got this.
Fuck this guy. He's not going to shoot you.
Not over a purse. And then, the whole time she was like, I wasn't going to die. I was like, okay.
No. They said you could have died. And then she says, no one's going to die.
And, obviously, I think that was meant to be, the whole Stage 2, all that kind of stuff. But
no, I think she's talking about, time travel, alternate timelines, time manipulation. I think...
Well, yeah, but I think, ultimately, she wasn't talking about the train robbing situation. I think she was talking about Stage 2.
No, yeah, she's just... Yeah, it's exactly like Darlene's train ride previously, when she's, having this situation where someone steals from her, and she talks about the whole situation, I stole from all of you.
That's fair, I guess. I didn't even look at those two things being correlated, but no, that's a good catch.
Yeah, especially because, if you've got this, overlays with Darlene's storyline, and her and Angela are definitely, especially at the end of the episode, connected.
Well, speaking of them, we get a nice little almost end scene. We're going to talk about most of it, just not the very end of it. Darlene crushed this episode. Like,
Yeah.
I know we've said that a lot, and I know she has come a long way this season with just the material that they've given her. But holy hell was I not cracking up every time she was on screen.
She just does. She's so irreverent. Like, I feel like that's the definition of her character. Like, she's just like, I'm here, gonna shoot off middle fingers at everyone I meet.
I guess this is paying my bills and everything, like, whatever. I'm just living my life.
Wearing sweatpants.
Just knocks on the door, and before she could even just, like, look through the peephole, open up, I can see your big-ass eye. I've lost it.
That made me laugh so hard. I was done. I was like, she does.
And I was like, yeah, I can imagine seeing Angela's big-ass eye through this freaking peephole and just being like, don't try to act like you're not there.
Yeah.
And then,
I mean, you know, she gets in there and she's like, and she, like, her and Elliot have, like, a come-to-Jesus conversation with Angela where they're like, you're fucking nuts.
Yeah.
Lady.
And there's no two ways about it. And then just Darlene being her, you know, Darlene self. You bent us over the sink and you fucked us.
Like.
And I was like, holy shit.
No lube.
No. Like, they went all out with this reference and everything. Like, it's a terrible reference, but I would just wish they would have done the bent us over a barrel and showed us the 50 states. I don't know why I wanted that to be what she said, but I did.
Of course you would. You're a Southern boy.
That would have been hilarious if they would have kept that thing going.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, this would be the perfect, like, show to make that the offhanded reference.
But, you know, regardless, Darlene still did it.
Yeah, over a sink and everything. Bravo, 10 out of 10. I'm happy that they were willing to go the extra mile for this. And I also, completely side note tangent, I did not know that the FCC had no control over stations like USA and everything. Yeah.
When did you read about that?
Today, because they're cable, and so they're not the airwaves or anything, and you're also inviting them into your house because you got to pay a premium on them.
Yeah, like it depends on the station.
Well, like USA,
stations like ABC and NBC are subject.
But like AMC, USA, Cartoon Network, and all those, it's just for advertisements.
Well, they are subject to certain general broadcast rules, and that's just like, you know, for example, it's a universal media rule. Now, The Walking Dead said fuck this to this, but it's used to be a universal broadcast rule that you can't violently kill a child.
Oh, well, yeah, Walking Dead, they did kind of destroy all of that.
Like, it can be off screen. If you don't see it, it's fine, like that kind of thing. But, you know.
Opening second. Season 1, where he just domes little girl in the opening credits.
Season 1? Yeah. But the reason they got away with it is because she was already dead.
Yeah, since they made her look super dead.
But you know what I mean.
Yeah. Anywho, back on to the thing and everything. Darlene is tearing into Angela this entire time. And then she drops... I mean, we already knew that she was the person she was protecting from the FBI. But she drops that and everything and then says, give me a reason. And Angela's just like, call the police. Just call them. Get them here. And so do you think that she's also not worried just because she feels like White Rose will get her out no matter what? Or just because time manipulation?
I think that she believes so desperately in the promise that White Rose has made her.
Yes.
That she believes that she is above any consequences that could possibly happen right now.
That's fair. I can get behind that.
Yeah, I think she is just like, so like, nope, I have to believe this.
I've seen so far ahead. I know how it's going to end.
And not only that, she's like, I have to believe this, or, you know, I've been wrong about all of this, and I have to confront the consequences of my actions, and I have to realize that I've been complicit in
murder,
a lot of bad shit.
And that she's okay with it because, as she said, it's their plan. And she's just doing what their dad told her to, which was give them the push that was needed. Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I think Angela... appears to be okay with everything because she has to be for her mental state.
Okay. No, I mean, say she wasn't, and, you know, there was only a disorder that's been shown on the show for somebody to go escape this mental state while they're still going. If only she had one of those.
Okay. Okay.
You know,
now,
if only there was a reason.
Okay. We'll find out on Wednesday.
Okay. You know,
because I am stoked to see how she reacts to all this.
As am I. But also...
And I have been for 3 episodes. Like, I'm like, I can't wait. Because I knew it wasn't going to go the way that anyone wanted. Like, I was like, I know something's going to happen. I didn't know what it was going to be.
No.
But I knew something was going to go wrong.
But also...
And so when it did...
We'll see. I'm excited for it. Also, we have back in the Elliot and Angela conversation, which I blanked on, I apologize. She drops to Elliot that she knows who White Rose is. I completely forgot that he didn't know that she had had a conversation with her.
Oh, yeah, because it's been such common knowledge to us for so long.
And so, like, this is... I'm excited to see how this changes Elliot, you know, once he gets a minute at some point to think about everything that he's processed, because he's going to have another conversation with her.
I was like, he can't trust any of his women.
No, he can't trust anyone, period. He can't even trust himself.
No.
But I just wanted to...
Speaking of not being able to trust himself.
Well, you want to just go into him, or do you want to talk about Dom a little bit and Tyrell?
I mean, I suppose, yeah. Like, you know, their bit is pretty neat.
Okay, so who do you want, Dom or Tyrell?
Tyrell, because Tyrell makes me laugh, that poor little delusional, crazy fucking puppy.
Okay, so we'll go into Tyrell. And I think he starts with just... He's talking to Mustache Johnny, right?
Yeah, he's just like, where's my family? Where's my flight?
Okay,
like, where's what you promised me?
I think we have to talk about Dom first.
All right.
I mean, now just thinking about everything... Because Darlene calls Dom as... No. Dom goes to see Darlene. And they're sitting there having their conversation. And she looks at her partner. I don't like you. I don't like you. It's like, what are you, 6? And I was just like... Yeah. It's like, Darlene, crushing it. Savage humor of a 4-year-old. Let's do this.
Like, doesn't care. Like, whatever. Like, she just doesn't care. Like, her and Angela, it's interesting because neither of them care, but in very different ways.
Yes. But Darlene's like your natural, like, 6-year-old, I don't care. Darlene
is actually fuck it.
Yes.
Like, she's just like, whatever, I've got nothing to lose. Angela doesn't care because if Angela cares, she'll lose her damn mind.
Yeah, I think you put it about the best way possible.
Yeah.
But, you know, we get the ludicrousness of TV, Elliot immediately calling her, and, you know, he comes to a realization, Tyrell's at the Red Wheelbarrow. It's the only logical place, you know, we got all this stuff. Boom, yada yada, and gives the information to Dom and everything. They run it up the pole to Dom's, who we supervisor.
Dirty.
Very, very dirty. But also, I didn't know his name was Santiago. Great name.
All I can think about is Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Oh, snap. She is named Santiago.
Yeah, ruined forever.
Damn. Now this name's not nearly as cool.
Nope. Like, and Brooklyn Nine-Nine was on before this character existed, so I was like, really? Okay.
And I've watched a lot of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I don't know why that name didn't stay with me.
Cut you off.
Yeah. But he comes up with a really good, like, actual reason of why they shouldn't just take the advice from Darlene. And I was really happy with that.
Anything so far.
She went off the grid, you know, she won't wear a wire or anything. I was like, holy crap, like, you have a legitimate reason that Dom can't be mad at you for.
It kind of reminded me of, oh gosh, I watched it the other day. The Badass Cop movie with, like, all the great male actors in it. Like, Leo and Matt Damon and blah, blah, blah.
The Departed.
The Departed. So I'm watching The Departed the other day, and that character reminded me of like how Matt Damon so flawlessly put people off the scent of his gang boss.
Absolutely crushed in that entire movie.
Yeah, and this guy was kind of like that.
I can see that. And so, I'm going through the whole thing, and he gets him off the trail, and then he immediately texts Mustache Johnny. Like, hey.
Location burned. Take care of this.
And I loved the conversation with his mom. Like, hey, don't get out. So obviously I don't think he knows that the Dark Army's changed their plan or anything.
I think he just knows that something's going down.
Yeah. And so I was like, man, he just spent $70 on Ensure so his mom won't get out.
That made me laugh. Like, they can one day deliver it to you, and it's like, bruh.
That's Ensure. Like, you just go make that yourself. Like, you've got to make that delivery.
Ensure.
Oh man, I was heartbroken for this man.
Like, so much money, and it's like, what's gonna happen to her at a convenience store, bro?
I mean, just being out in the streets for the riots and everything.
I mean, yes, I understand, but it's like, all right.
But I mean, also, she's not gonna die one day without Ensure. I'd be like, Mom, I'll get it for you tomorrow. It'll be okay.
You can totally hear, like, the voice of that kind of lady.
Oh, yeah, she was going to grab Ensure. She's still probably heading out to grab Ensure.
She was probably, like, on her way.
Oh, yeah. I gotta get the vanilla, the strawberry, the chocolate, all of them.
All the flavors. Gonna mix them together and eat them up.
Oh, God. And have you ever had Ensure?
Yes.
It's not good.
Disgusting.
Oh, it's miserable. It's like that chalky stuff. It's like
if Muscle Milk was awful.
Well, I mean, it is. But to me, I was going to go with, like, it was like if that astronaut ice cream melted.
Ew, yeah.
Yeah. All the way bad.
So anyway, we think he's throwing them off the trail, but Dom is like, fuck this. Because she's so, like, I loved because she's so fed up with how incompetent everyone is that she's just like, fuck it, I'll do it live. And it felt so
real,
authentic to her character, because we've seen her be so irritated with, like, her job so often that it makes sense that she would completely break protocol and go behind people's backs to figure this out.
Well, not break protocol, just,
they
switch
told
some
her
words.
not to do anything. They said they were going to put surveillance on the place, and she went in.
She went to go grab lunch. But, like, the whole thing, like, it reminded me of, like, you and me, where it'd just be like, hey, you want to go grab lunch? Yeah, I could eat and stuff. No. Like, do you want to grab lunch? And I'd be like, well, I'm not going to lead us, but if you need someone to get in trouble with you, sure.
Like, I just loved his face. Like, he turns, looks around, and goes,
yeah,
well, I guess we're going to lunch. Like,
and then, like, he has like the cool jacket grab off the back of the thing, and I was like, yeah, I can see.
That dude's never been cool, like, this entire show, and, like, in that moment, I was like, all right.
Yeah, like,
freaking whoever, like, get it.
You own your 3 seconds of fame. You got this.
And I just love her because she's just sitting there and she's, like, so frustrated. And, like, seeing her at a desk is so stifling, like, just knowing her character.
Yeah. And
then she just turns to him and she's like, you want to grab lunch? Yeah, he's like, yeah, I can eat. And she's like,
No,
no, you want to...
grab lunch.
You want to grab lunch?
Yeah. Well,
and I watched it with a friend, and they were like, do you think he gets it? I'm like, yeah, he gets it.
By the end, he definitely gets he's about to break the law. Like, there's no doubt.
Like, they're on the same page. So then they go there, they're staking out the joint. This is part of the very exciting part of the episode where everyone's, like, intercutting between all of the different scenes.
Yeah,
like it's already really stressful.
Whoever the editor was during this process, I can't imagine that this was a fun time for them.
I also want to know what the script looked like.
It looked like a grenade went off in a confetti factory. That's what the script looked like.
Because I know that a lot of the times when you're switching point of views that quickly, you'll literally just bold the character name and then write underneath, like, one sentence of what they're doing. Mm-hmm. Because you don't, like, it's just, like, it's so much space, it takes so much time to be like, interior, hallway, night, continuous, Elliot walks down the hallway and, like, bangs his head on shit.
Oh, no.
Cut to, whatever.
We're going to get to that. Don't you worry.
I'm sorry.
How dare you just try to throw that in there like it's a side piece.
Whatever.
No.
So then, Dom goes in, being all profesh, whatever, trying to figure it out. I love that it's, like, the same girl at the counter every time.
Like, does this girl, she looks like she's 15. Does she not go to school?
What is she doing? Is she Dark Army? Are you Dark Army?
There's no way she's Dark Army.
I want her to be.
Like, this is a legit business. But I have no idea. But as you, I did love that, we have the same girl and everything. And then, so we know this season's like, what, 6.5 weeks in?
Yeah.
From episode 1 to now?
Yeah.
What did we accomplish in season 2?
Nothing.
Like, damn you, season 2. You were a good season, but we did nothing.
Like, all of Mr. Robot is good, but Mr. Robot has never been this good.
No. But, so we're like 6.5 weeks in, and so I don't know why I cared about that so much, but I did.
I mean, it's true, because it just feels like there's been so much momentum this season. Like, it's just so well written. Like, because we were talking about, the editing and the way that it would have been written, and it's just crazy that, so much happened in this episode, let alone this whole season so far.
Yeah.
And the fact that we had this insane thing happen in episode 6, I'm like, what? What's going to happen at the season finale?
Because this felt like not only a season finale, but it felt like it could have been a series finale.
Nah, well, I mean, maybe.
Like, I mean, obviously it wasn't. But, I mean, like, there was enough in it that I've been like, holy shit. Like, we wrapped things up in a bow, and then we didn't. But, like, they could have easily rewritten 1 or 2 things, and boom, this was a series finale.
I know. It's like, but, they know what they're doing.
Yes.
Anyway, we left Dawn out in the cold. So, she comes in, she's not getting anything out of it, and then she's lucky that a fire begins.
Basically, fire out of nowhere. And that fire out of nowhere comes from Tyrell being down there and lighting the instructions that Mustache Johnny gave to him.
I want to know what they are. I mean, like, okay. So now we can go back to that.
Yes.
Okay. So, Tyrell's being a child, as he is wont to do. And he's like, where's my family? Where's my child? I want to know what was on that piece of paper that made him shut up. Because, like, we have this moment where, I thought Tyrell was going to die.
Yes.
Because everyone's been calling, like, the whole episode, like, freaking the dirty FBI agent is like, you know what you need to do, a.k.a. kill Tyrell.
Yes.
And then, like, you're having other people talk to White Rose, being like, ooh, why would we use Tyrell anymore? We have, White Rose herself being like, well,
It wasn't that. It was just White Rose said, this doesn't change anything. Go according to plan. Yeah,
which, leads you to assume murder this guy.
Yes.
So, and, you have that moment where he's reading he's got the instructions, and Johnny turns around and goes, I'm sorry.
True emotion from this car salesman.
Legitimately sorry.
Yeah. I don't know if he broke character, if it was written like this, whatever, bravo. I felt it.
Yeah. Because, you can just, if he was faking, wow. But, it felt like he was actually sorry.
Yeah, it felt completely genuine and everything, and it was like, we lied to you, we used you.
Then Tyrell makes his, little prisoner...
So do you think Tyrell broke from the instructions, or do you think he followed these to the T?
I think he followed them to the T.
Really?
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
I think that, he's got the whole thing with the handcuffs to make it look like he was...
Kidnapped.
Kidnapped.
Or something.
I think that he could be the wild card where he comes out, he's like, we have to stop the attacks, we have to stop the attacks. Who is Tyrell going to blame the attacks on?
Well, that's what I was about to ask, is if this is all according to plan, who does it get pinned on?
Yeah, and that's why they need Tyrell. He is the most wanted criminal in the world.
Well, back in, I think it was earlier this season when he's talking to the guy he gets to run Trump's campaign, quote unquote,
Yeah.
he says that, I think it was in that episode when he's talking to him, he says, hey, F Society needs to have Israeli roots. And so maybe, like, that's who Tyrell's going to try to blame this on?
I just know that it's definitely, I think part of it is definitely to throw blame off of the Dark Army.
Okay. But there's no blame on the Dark Army right now anyway.
But, but of course, White Rose would be, multiple steps ahead of any kind of blame.
True. I just don't see how getting Tyrell to escape and then just...
It's a distraction.
It's a very good one, because I have no idea where it's going.
Like, if you have the world's biggest criminal coming out in the midst of what happened, and he blames it on someone particular, people are going to believe it.
Why would they believe it if it's the world's biggest criminal? Everyone's just going to be like, no, we're not going to believe anything you say.
We don't know what the rest of the instructions said, but, I
True.
think it'll be compelling enough evidence to at least sway things a certain way.
Maybe. It's going to be interesting. I mean, I can't wait to see where it ends up leading us.
Yeah.
But, so he's got this fire, he's got the fake handcuffs and everything. Dom...
I know that Dom doesn't buy it.
No. Well, and this is where... I think this is like the first time she breaks the law, because she goes back into the employee section and everything, and that's where she sees the fire and everything.
Well, it's like, we know that, but she got real lucky with that fire, and she tells, her boss, oh, I saw the fire, so I went in.
Lying. Like a filthy animal. But anyway, it is fine. She finds this fire and everything. She's like, hey, it's coming from the back room. Cool Steve's back in the car. He's like, hey, there is no back room. And she's like, okay.
The fire's coming from inside the house.
Yeah. Yada, yada, yada. She heads down there. I'm actually a little terrified as she's going through this. It's really smoky, super dark.
Yeah, it was kind of horror-esque, and I was, like, legitimately not okay.
I was not okay. I didn't even think she was in the right place. I was like, holy crap, maybe he's not.
Where are we?
I was like, I don't remember seeing these stairs in, like, this little first entrance room.
And like, all of this stuff.
And so, like, I was like, dude, they just okey-doked us. But no, like, we get down there, we see the bed and everything, and then there's this trippy fake brick wall that leads to God knows where.
Where all, the Dark Army people have been going that we've never seen.
Yeah, and so...
where it leads.
I wish we would have seen a little bit more of that and everything. That would have made more sense.
They've got a lot to play with in the next episode, which is what makes it so exciting.
Yes.
Like, I haven't been this excited to, like, keep watching the next episode of a series in, like, a minute.
And have to wait for it. Like, that's the important thing. Is that we're having to... We don't get that binge sensation of, oh, it's right there at our fingertips. Like, no, we have to sit and think about everything that's going on, which is a reason why I still love this show.
Actually watching, on TV as opposed to things that come out in entire seasons.
But, so, overall, she's telling Santiago everything, and he's like, look, even though you completely disobeyed orders, went Maverick, we can still use a lot of this to get Tyrell in the long run. And I was like, holy shit, you are doing a really good job of covering your tracks. Mm-hmm. It's like you still get to blame her for disobeying you and everything, and you get evidence, and Tyrell doesn't get caught. Like,
when does this guy get anything, like, thrown back in his face?
It's like he got dealt pocket rockets, aces, and someone got dealt, like, queens. And he's just riding it all the way to the bank. Thing of beauty. Well played. Love the writing for him and everything.
It'll come back to him eventually.
Probably, but not by the law or anything. But, I mean, it's just like... You appreciate to see those little things, those little details that are taken care of that make it more believable.
He's not even that important, and yet...
He's getting...
it matters.
Yeah, like, I mean, they're putting attention into his writing and everything, and that matters.
Yeah.
And
so... That brings us to...
Well, I want to talk a little bit about White Rose and Mr. David Price, because their dedication to awkwardness and laughter in these scenes.
I mean, that's what I was going to say. Okay. I was like, that brings us to our fabulous jewel tone disco.
Yes. Which, shout out to Sam Esmail again for somehow sneaking in jabs at Trump.
So good. And I love that whole scene because, like, I love that they have this moment of where you know that even though White Rose has, like, this other plan.
Yes. She
was having a legitimate human laugh.
Okay, there's a lot of controversy of did BD Wong actually laugh or was this completely faked? And I'm thinking, personally, like, BD Wong didn't know what he was going to say. And so when he just goes, I think it's referred as hanging brain, and, like, she just spits it. Because she literally has, like, a spit audible take of, like, the champagne going out.
Well, and I love that scene because it's so accurate to, like, rich people bullshit.
Yes.
Because Price is like, oh my god, are you going to that boat party? And BD Wong's like, don't remind me. And they're like, you know, having this whole thing.
Those shorts are a little too...
I would say his shorts are a little too tight and a little too short.
I believe they call that the hanging brain.
I laughed my ass off.
But, and then not only that, but it goes back to how I imagine, like, Rich Thing is just, like, after both of their plans have been discussed, we literally have nothing in common. And, like...
yeah, they have this awkward, like, they've done the plan, they tried to have the small talk, it didn't totally work, and then it's just like...
A legit...
Well, okay then, bye.
It was, like, a legit 30 seconds of just complete awkward silence, and I'm laughing, like, I'm losing it hysterically. I'm like, you're dedicating this. In the midst of everything that's going on, you're giving us just 30 seconds of awkwardness because two people don't know how to talk to each other.
Because they can.
Fantastic. And then how does he break the silence and everything?
He literally is just like, well...
He just gives him the weirdest look on his face and says, good. And he's just like, good. I'm gone. I don't know what's going on.
Like, I guess we're done. And I was like, all right.
Oh, absolutely loved it. Those little small things. And then, I don't remember when this happened in the episode. I just love seeing Darlene come out of the house and those little Girl Scouts trying to sell her whatever they're trying to sell.
Like, not today, girls. They've really committed to the weird humor this season.
Oh, and I love it so much. Like, so much of just like that. And, like, you know I can't deal with awkwardness. Like, if someone gets shot down trying to ask somebody out, I'm hiding. But during the Price and White Rose scene, I couldn't look away.
Like, because it was done so, like it's two powerful men.
Yeah.
You know, having an awkward moment. So it's like, they just sort of kind of let it happen, though. It's just like, all right. And then they just leave.
I felt like that was all just one take. Beautiful. Let's get on out of here.
It was so nice to see, like, two at odds, like... enemies have a human moment.
It was refreshing, and it was nice.
Yeah, it was nice. It was nice in a weird way, but it was still nice.
But how long do you think he has to film the entire season? Not enough time?
Oh my god, TV is backbreaking. Like, the schedules are dumb. Like, I guarantee you most of those performances are done in under 3 takes.
Because, like, I know Walking Dead, we were blessed enough to talk to the director of the second episode. She had 9 days, I think, for her entire episode.
Yeah, like, I'm telling you, like, their pace is disgusting.
That's insane.
Yeah.
But now we are on to Elliot, who we had running around like a chicken with his head cut off and everything. Finally decides...
Oh, Elliot.
This poor man finally decides, boom, I've got to go to the hub and everything. Makes his way through there and everything, grabs a nice little security badge, realizes his bomb call without there ever being a chance of a bomb being there wasn't really the brightest idea.
Like, I love that his ideas are just failing left and right. Like, in small ways.
He's like, oh, it worked. Oh, but it didn't. But it grants him.
But it didn't.
Yeah.
And he's coming back in, and it's like, we have all these like little moments while he's making his way up, like those security guards looking at the girls going into E Corp, which was so weird. And it's like,
they were way too hot to be working there in whatever capacity that they're doing. Let's be real.
I love that people say that though, like, she's way too hot to be doing X. And it's like, what are we supposed to do when we're hot? Just like lay on a beach somewhere and drink margaritas and money just falls out of the sky?
Yeah.
That's not, no.
But also, like, you're not going to be dressing like that to be an accountant.
She was wearing an A-line skirt and a fitted white blouse.
No.
She happened to have a good body in appropriate work attire.
I'm sorry. I'm imagining these people to be like 60 years old to be that powerful working in that building.
No, that's not how that works. Who works in tech? Freaking 20-year-olds. People our age. 20, 30-year-olds work in tech.
It's still all run by old people.
Yeah, run. Not the workers. The workers are all our age.
That's probably fair.
Yeah.
I just imagined it as all like the old like 60-year-old people and everything. And
no,
so
that's
I was
just
like,
the people that like run the boards.
So I was just like, you're way too hot to be like the 60-year-old person that I'm imagining working here.
No, it's totally fair. Like, that made sense.
Then yeah, I guess. But there was just so many like other out of shape, old looking people in lines.
Well, like, yeah, I mean, like, there's a distribution of people working different jobs, but as far as like sales and, you know, tech and IT and stuff, that's all young people.
True.
So, anyway, when he stole the key card, though, I was very confused. I was like, what just happened?
Oh, what? One of the least smooth pickpockets that we've ever seen in modern television history.
I was like, I don't agree with this, but whatever.
But yeah, stole it, gets on the elevator and everything, hops to a little room. We see another fish, which I don't honestly understand the symbolism of all the fish.
Yeah, I mean, it was a barracuda. And I remember sitting there being like, okay, why do we keep coming back to the barracuda? Like, who's the barracuda? So barracudas, if you watched Finding Nemo, are scary fish that eat other fish. So I'm like, is this sort of like an encroaching Mr. Robot thing? Is this just supposed to give you like an ominous feeling? And then all I could think about was like set design, painting that wall teal and making it look like the worst room ever.
But I mean, there's fish just all throughout. I mean, we have Beta, we have the three fish in the taxi cab and the scene coming up and everything. So I mean,
I love that. I love that shot of him in the taxi. By the way, I love that. It's so good.
But anyway, like, you know, he realizes everything's going on, so he starts hacking on his laptop and everything. And then right before he can hit enter, glitch. Like he realizes
Mr. Robot comes back.
And this is also where we see Elliot in the Mr. Robot jacket. It was actually in this scene when he's back up against the wall.
Yeah, I didn't catch it.
Which, you know, bravo to everyone who did. It took me like the third watch. And you see him in the jacket and everything, which was pretty cool.
I mean, I love when he like gets back into the building and gets back on the computer.
Well, first, like, you know, he gets in the taxi cab and everything. You know, we have him in the jacket and everything. Goes to taxi. He's like, hey, when did I tell you this address 20 seconds ago, yada, yada. Mr. Robot did everything he needed to, hid the computer and everything. Why does he keep the key card?
Oh, man.
This was just a huge plot hole I couldn't get past. Like,
I hate that. I did hate that. I remember being like, how did he get back in?
And we see him use the key card back throughout, so it's just like the simplest solution that solves all of this
just
for Mr. Robot.
Throw it away.
Yeah.
Because story and plot.
Like, man. Like, I don't think there's any other way that they could have done it, but that is just a big glaring hole.
Yeah. But I mean, he gets back in after this fabulous scene with this taxi cab. Like, I really enjoyed.
I'm so happy, you know, I finally got flagged down. This hasn't happened much since 5'9" and everything. These are my 3 goldfish. Fatty, Queenie, and something.
Whatever, talking about, like, her family, and I'm like, that's fabulous. Taxi cab, whatever. So then, you know, he gets out, he gets back in, and he starts trying to communicate with Mr. Robot.
In this computer lab with one rando stranger.
Who's getting real suspicious.
Oh, yeah. And I love this guy throughout.
Like, when Elliot walked back in that second time, I was like, Elliot, oh my god, be more suspicious. Like, try. Like, you are the most suspicious person that has ever been suspicious in the history of being suspicious.
Yeah, that pretty much explains him.
Like, God, it's the worst. Like, honestly, like, every time he's doing something he's not supposed to, I'm like, Elliot, oh my god, act like a normal person. Please. Please.
Elliot's like the one guy who's trying to sneak into a casino who's not old enough yet. And he's just like, I'm not confident in anything.
He should have been like me, you know? 20 years old, just walked in.
And just been like, deal with the plebs behind me.
Everyone was all worried about me getting into the casino, and I just...
strolled in like you owned the place.
Yeah, and it worked.
It did. Mainly because you didn't gamble.
Yeah, but,
Yeah.
That's not the point.
The point is you acted like you belonged there and no one questioned you.
Yeah, which freaking... Anyway, so he gets on the computer, he starts trying to communicate with Mr. Robot. He says, we're not murderers, which is definitely what triggers Mr. Robot. And then he comes back like he's destroying the computer lab, and he's like, I guess he didn't like my question. And the dude's against the wall like, what the fuck, man? And I'm like, okay.
It's just like, I love that we didn't even get to see it. Like, I love that the whole room is just destroyed.
I love imagining it.
Yes.
I love thinking about that moment when he just gets up and starts like,
hulking out, just
computers around.
He's just like, Oprah, you don't get a computer. You don't get a computer. Nobody gets computers to hack on.
I'm just like, I don't know, like, what's going on? Like,
and then Elliot like looks at him. He's like, oh god, stumbles over the trash cans, running out of the building and everything. And as he's running, did you see the posters on the wall? These are like first generation Macs.
Yes.
Like, why do you have posters of the oldest computers known to mankind?
Technology, man. I don't know.
Absolutely loved it. I don't know if this was a sign. If it was, let us know.
Fish, old Macs, like, help us out, Sam. Like, we don't understand. But
those posters were hilarious.
Like, the only thing I can think of is when movies are showing fish and fish tanks, it's like a representation of the character feeling overwhelmed, and like he can't handle his life, and usually he can't.
I don't know if it's necessarily overwhelmed as much as trapped, or if we want to lump those as the same thing.
He is overwhelmed, and like he does lose. Like, okay, so in The Graduate, which is like one of the most classic films of all time.
Okay.
Basically, the movie is about this guy who comes back from college, and he's like, summa cum laude, amazing, and all these things, like the best student ever.
Okay.
But then he's like, okay, what do I do as an actual person? And there's this scene that's been copied forever and ever and ever where he's sitting in front of a fish tank. And in film buff history, it's been marked as like, okay, him sitting in front of the fish tank is a representation of him feeling overwhelmed and feeling trapped. So I think that, Sammy would have watched The Graduate and probably might at least partially be buying into that.
Okay. That would give us some credence and everything, and I like it because overwhelmed and trapped, pretty much the same thing. And they are putting it in situations where Elliot feels like he can't escape.
Well, I mean, The Graduate also has an anti-ending. Like, he does what he thinks is right.
Okay.
And it doesn't turn out well.
Ooh. I love things like that.
Yeah.
I might have to give that a watch or rewatch.
It might be, like, a similar thing because, like, it's actually funny now that I'm really thinking about it. Like, we get the end where Elliot is, like, falsely happy.
Yeah.
And in The Graduate, he's, like, falsely happy, and then you see the truth is way worse.
Somewhere in between.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I don't know.
But, anyway, he goes on to try to get to the hard drive disk room and everything so he can manually set this all off. And the dedication of Rami Malek
himself up
is phenomenal.
Like, do you remember when I said I really want to see Elliot as Mr. Robot more?
Yes.
Like, they heard us. And they were like, let's watch Mr. Robot beat the shit out of Elliot.
Yes, and like obviously there's been Fight Club undertones all throughout, but this just takes the cake.
Yeah.
Throwing yourself, like, the commitments to some of these, like, throws against the wall, to where, like, he's just full on up, throwing his back into it, or just...
My favorite was when he banged his head against the pipe. And, like, that dude he passes just like, are you okay? And he's like, whatever. Like,
yeah, dude, I'm good. And then, like, he goes back to another pipe, looks at it, wham! Just... the dude's just, like, looking at him like... I'm going to keep going this way.
Like, this is what I'm going to continue to do. And I mean, like, but he gets there. And what I really loved about this whole ending is the fact that he actually manages to reason with Mr. Robot. Because the thing that Mr. Robot hates more than anything in the world is feeling like he's not in control.
Yes.
And he realizes that he's been lied to and he's been swindled.
Do you think he's been swindled or anything?
Yeah.
Well,
because Mr. Robot didn't know the end. Nobody knew.
But we don't know that Mr. Robot didn't know the end.
I don't think he did.
So you think he got played by White Rose as well?
Well, yeah, because Elliot uses the argument, there are no paper files here.
Yes.
There is nothing here. Help me make this happen because there's nothing here for us to destroy. They lied to us.
So do you think Mr. Robot doesn't figure it out and be like, oh, they're in all 71 locations. I give Elliot this win, and he thinks I'm off the hook?
I mean, maybe, but honestly, I think that they're together in this because I think we've seen them at odds forever, and I would be really interested to see them as a unit. And I think that's what's about to happen, but like a real unit.
Okay.
Not like Mr. Robot pretending to be his friend, but actually using him.
So now it's Elliot, Mr. Robot versus White Rose.
Yeah.
I still... Look, I want to believe that because I think that's going to make for a better show and everything. But there's still the whole Leon connection. There's still... Mobley and Trenton, and I still think that we have to get more Elliot and Mr. Robot feuding.
I mean, I don't think that they're going to be besties, but I think that they're going to have a common goal, and they're going to have to come together on this.
And you think...
Because, like, you know, he says to Mr. Robot, like, we're not murderers. Mr. Robot doesn't want to kill anyone.
I don't think Mr. Robot cares. I think he knows the ultimate timeline as well. Or the alternate.
I think maybe... But at the same time, I don't think he does. I think he just wants to stick to the plan as he thinks it's supposed to be. He just wants to take down E-Corp.
Okay. But this still accomplishes that. This is that. This is the final nail in that coffin.
I don't know. I don't think that Mr. Robot wants a bunch of people to die.
Well, speaking of a bunch of people, that is way too few. As we find out by the end of this episode, as Dom runs over to attack with Tyrell as he's screaming, "You've got to stop the bomb, you've got to stop the bomb."
No, he says you have to stop
the
attacks.
Correct. Attacks.
Plural. Attacks as in terrorist attacks.
Yes.
Which leads into the things you said about the Israeli connection. Which I wouldn't be surprised at all if they tried to, like, put this whole thing to terrorism because, like, you know... What this show recently has been showing is how easy it is to commit an act of domestic terrorism.
Yes.
And it can so easily be attributed to that.
Maybe not easily do an act of terrorism, but
you have to be smart, but it's easier than you would think.
Oh, this is kind of like to me now, like I'm like, this kind of thing is highly possible. Like a 71 explosions all at the same time. And then just crippling everything. Easily doable.
Yeah, so, like, I mean, I think that Tyrell is going to divert blame, like I said, probably in a terrorism way. So, anyway, the end happens. Turns out that...
Elliot has no reason for all this.
Branch wasn't...
Even a target.
Their goal at all.
No. You know,
and I love that White Rose was just giving Elliot a distraction this whole time. Because, like, you know, when he was in that, you know, big like, oh my god, what's it called? Hydron thing.
Yeah, the Hadron Particle Accelerator.
There it
Boom.
is. And he was so, like, big picture.
Yes.
And he's always been so big picture. And then we have this moment where it's like, oh no, he was going after all the other plants.
Yeah.
So it's like, he never wanted the paper to be consolidated. So I'm wondering.
Well, I think he did. It just ended up changing.
Yeah, here's my thing. When he saw that Elliot had screwed with it, I think he changed the plan to just bombing them all.
Yeah, he pivoted. He understood, like, the importance of a pivot, of an adjustment.
Which just shows how deeply he just doesn't value human life, because thousands of people are dead.
As news reports are telling us, thousands are dead. Like, and we're just getting started. But 71 explosions, like, holy shit, like, these buildings we saw in the New York office, they hold a lot of people.
It's like 71 World Trade Centers.
It's insane.
Like, that's so many people.
And
like, the show's the recovery episode, which is what Wednesday is going to be, is the recovery episode.
And I don't think we're going to be able to recover from it. Like, I think we're still going to be going balls to the wall there.
But it's going to be so great. Like, it's so great. And I like I told you, I audibly gasped. And
Yes.
I loved that the news report continued over the credits.
Yep.
Because I love sound being used that way. And I was so pissed at the end because I thought they weren't going to tell us what happened. Like, as he was walking up to the TVs, I was like, you better fucking tell me what happens. I swear to God.
And then it told us.
Once they did, I was like, ah! Like, you can't see me, everyone, but I'm just like...
You're losing it.
Dead.
And
D-E-D, dead.
And I had texted you right before because I thought the episode was over. And I was like, there's no way they... And then I texted you immediately after, like, oh shit. Like, I can't believe they just...
There's no way. Yeah, you were like, that cheeky bastard. There's no way they're coming back from this. And I was like, what?
And then you saw the bajillion text messages from me and everything.
Yes, I did. Oh my God. So good.
And I mean, I truly believe this was easily a top 10 episode of television.
Yeah, it was definitely the best episode of Mr. Robot that's ever happened, which is upsetting for me to say because the one take was also so amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this just comes in right after. It's like, oh, you want to be the best episode? Hold my beer. I'll let me go rail this out real quick.
Let's go have a conversation about this.
But, I mean, phenomenal episode. Where do you think we're going next week?
I think...
Get a little prediction out there for everybody.
I think that we're going to see Angela lose her mind because she was complicit in the death of thousands.
Okay.
I think that Elliot and Mr. Robot are going to have a conversation for the first time, like this season. Like a legitimate, like they used to when they really talked. Yeah. I think that Tyrell is going to blame it on terrorism.
Okay.
Or some kind of other group.
Yeah. And
Dom is not going to buy it. So Dom will eventually actually become useful to Elliot and all of them because they're probably going to push to show that it was the Dark Army.
Okay.
And I think Elliot is going to go after Angela to tell him who it is.
Well, he knows it's White Rose and the Dark Army.
Well, yeah, but it's like, you know, just to, like, you know, try to figure out, like, how to, you know, bring them down. Because that's what really needs to happen because they're the biggest terrorist group that, like, ever.
I like a lot of what you're saying. I think we get Elliot, Darlene, and Angela all together, which is a rarity.
I'm excited for that. I just want them to, like, shit on Angela. Just, like, no.
I think we're going to get some kind of form of that in this next episode. I think Leon
will resurface
with Angela or with Trenton and Mobley, and that's going to
really. I don't think they're a character anymore.
There's a reason that they were brought up in the season finale last year, and they're not just off to the wayside.
All right.
And Elliot's going to need bodies. Like he just needs warm bodies to type.
Yeah, that's true.
I think Tyrell's going to walk out scot-free.
I think he is for now. Yeah, somehow. I think based on his instructions, but I'm really interested to see how he reacts. Like, if he doesn't already know that his family is dead and gone, I would love to see how he reacts to his family being dead and gone.
Oh, that had to be in the letter.
They blamed...
No. That had to be in the letter.
Huh?
So that had to be in the letter.
Like, it had to be, but he didn't react at all.
I don't know what to tell you. That had to be in the letter.
I need to know what was in that letter.
Yeah. That had to be in the letter. I refuse to believe anything else.
I think if Tyrell walks scot-free, or even if he's in prison, I think him and Elliot will talk. Like, I think there's a lot.
Yeah. But I think the big thing that's going to happen is, I think Price is going to shoot a shot at White Rose. I think that happens this next episode. I don't know what that shot is. But...
I think, like...
And I don't think it's going to land.
No, but I think there will be an attempt.
Yes. And I'm most interested with how I think White Rose is going to handle it.
Yeah. Like, because she just won.
Big. Which also, I don't know if you remember this, but China invested $2 trillion into E-Corp with a no-interest loan. But the most important thing is they're the majority stakeholder, essentially, with the loan and everything.
Yeah.
E-Corp has to be bought out now. So does China just essentially inherit the biggest conglomerate in the world?
Yeah, I think so. I think not only did he get the Congo, he got E-Corp. Like, he just got... And it's like, did he do it just to do it?
No, I think there was a very big reason in absorbing E-Corp and everything and setting all of this into motion. Which...
Power, the whole thing.
Completely kneecapping Price, your biggest enemy and everything, after he gives you exactly what you want. Which...
Like, I knew something had happened when we go back to that dinner and you see that waiter, like, lean over and, like, say something to Price, because it just reminded me of, like, when that Secret Service agent, like, leaned over to Bush while he was, like, reading that book to those kids, like, on 9/11.
Yeah.
To tell him what had happened. It was, like, just like that. Like,
it was terrifying. Yeah. And then we get the whole 71 buildings. I was like, holy shit. But...
So bad.
And the important thing with the Congo is that's where cobalt can be turned. It's like there's a huge thing of that. And the big thing with that is cobalt-60 can be turned into the most radioactive, deadly bombs in the world. What makes them so bad is the radiation stays for like 2 generations.
Yeah, it's...
And so there's a lot of talk
that can be done with this.
That White Rose is planning on using that from the Congo to turn into weapons, which I think is a little too dark for the show. But,
I don't know, man. They just killed thousands of people.
Yes, but they didn't take on generations and everything and turn them into nuclear warheads and whatnot.
I don't think they'd use them, but I think that they would make the threat of them.
And so I'm interested to see where all of this goes. But I think that's pretty much it for this episode.
This fabulous episode.
I don't think we really left anything out. We might have scatterbrained it a little bit, but I think we touched on everything.
We did our best.
But if we missed something, y'all love the episode and everything, please feel free to give us a like, listen, comment, Facebook, Twitter, Spotify, Podbean. We're on pretty much everything. YouTube. Let us know what you thought about the episode. What do you think is going to happen in the next episode? Are you ready for Leon to be back into our hearts? And I think that's about it.
Yep.
All right. Well, until next week, I'm Cash.
And I'm Larissa.
Have a good one.